Welcome to Five or Flop, a podcast for the best and worst historical fiction has to offer. I'm your host, Grace.
And I'm Erin, and each week we'll be reading a different historical fiction book to see if they're a five or a flop.
Our theme for season 3 is back to school, and we are coming at you with the first ever pod repeat author.
Yeah.
It is Fever 1793 by Laurie Halse Anderson.
And this one really is back to school for me because this one was assigned reading for me. The same year in school, I read the abridged version of A Land Remembered.
What a crazy year for you.
4th grade.
And if you could go back in time to your 4th grade self, you would be able to tell her that you have a podcast.
Exactly.
And she would say, "What is a podcast?"
And actually, 4th grade was the same year that she would say that.
Yeah.
4th grade is the same year that the dumb reading group got to read the Irish Mill Girl book. and it was maybe then I read Fever or I read A Land Remembered. It was one of those two that I read at the same time.
Okay. This is a lot of information. I'm taking it all
We're
in.
going to be flashing it back to Miss K's 4th grade class.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Miss K.
All right. What's going on with you now that we've celebrated your birthday in the past?
Now that we're back in the present, I'm still 26. There are 2 new bookstores opening up in the DC area.
Is that true?
This week and next, yeah.
What are they?
They're varying levels of exciting, both to you and to me, just
Okay.
because we care about different things. In Alexandria,
One is, yes, I know, I've heard about that one.
the romance bookstore is opening in Alexandria. It's called Friends to Lovers, which I think is very cute.
I do think that's cute. We should definitely go for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I know you and Kat are going to plan a trip and forget to invite me, so I'm saying now that I want to be invited.
Okay, we'll invite you. I don't want to say skeptical because I am not a business owner and I've never pretended to be. Mm-hmm. But the girl who owns it, sorry, that was dismissive. The young lady who owns it is posted like TikToks every day of her setting up the space. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed very quickly a very quick turnaround to me from when she got the keys to when they're opening.
Okay.
And they were doing stuff like stripping the floors.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I was just and it was 3 weeks ago that she got the keys. And they're opening next week. Mm-hmm. So I was I don't know, maybe everything's set to go and you want to be bringing in money if you're paying the rent.
I guess so.
And then also in Georgetown, the 3-story Barnes & Noble is opening.
I am excited for that one.
Yes. And apparently, I think I remember this, the building, it used to be a Barnes & Noble. And then the Barnes & Noble shut down. It was Nike for a while. The Nike shut down. It's been sitting empty. And now it's a Barnes & Noble again.
I'm sorry, why was there a 3-story Nike in Georgetown?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people, maybe from the dumb reading group who read the Irish Mill Girl book, would say, why is there a 3-story Barnes & Noble?
Okay, that's fair. I just feel like there's just more stock in Barnes & Noble.
Well, I can't attest that the Nike used all 3 stories, but maybe they did, and it was a bad idea because clearly it was because they went out of business.
Yeah. Okay, well.
But I am excited to make jaunts to Alexandria and to Georgetown, 2 places that are equally difficult for me to access.
Yeah.
To go to the bookstore.
Frankly, getting to Georgetown is worse because I can't drive you there. There's no parking.
Well, and there's no more circulator either.
No. So we can take the G2, which is now very far from your house.
Maybe we could be bougie and Uber.
Yeah.
We'll see. What about you?
I'm going to Montreal this weekend with Santiago. We have a 6 a.m. flight on Thursday. And then it's actually not going to be too cold. My mom was really mentally preparing me for snow.
No.
It's not going to because climate change. So
bad.
We're also recording this the day before the election, which we're not going to talk about that. But just if you want to know the time of year and why we're questioning the weather in Montreal, it's because before climate change, there probably would have been snow by this point. But I'm really excited. We're going to a dining in the dark experience.
I still think that that's insane when you told me about that.
So I might have misread online. I thought I read somewhere that, you just tell them if you have food allergies and they, bring you food. That is true at some dining in the dark places. I don't know if that's the case at this point.
That's not the part that I thought was crazy, but I'm glad that you
just
reiterated.
have the darkness. Also, all the waiters are blind, which is really cool.
It's just the idea of, who thought of this? Who thought of, sit in the dark and we'll just bring you food? I don't know.
My coworker Jess was like, oh my God, because she lives in Vermont, which is she's not that far.
Yeah.
So she goes not infrequently. She's like, you have to do this. And I'm like, and Santiago was like, do we? And I'm like, yeah, we do.
Is it a Canadian pastime? Do they just do that in Canada?
I guess they just have a really good one in Montreal.
Okay.
It's called Au Noir.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for that.
Well,
I've also been wanting to go to Montreal. I want to eat poutine. I think that'll be a really fun time for me.
Yeah. I have been one time. It was several years ago, but I had a very fun time, so I'm sure you will also.
Great. All right. I'm gonna go first with what I'm currently reading because it's gonna overlap into my flight to Montreal. So I think it's important to always establish what I'm reading on planes.
Of course.
But,
are you gonna take a Benadryl?
No, because it's going to be at 6 in the morning. So,
not the
frankly,
time.
that's the opposite time to take a Benadryl.
Okay.
However, when we go to Rio, and it's an overnight flight in January, we're going to have another Benadryl time. But I am back on my audiobook grind. And as I mentioned, I went to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. As I texted Grace but did not say on the pod, I had been trying to find the other Codename Verity Cycle books to listen to. Cannot find the other versions as audiobooks anywhere.
Boo.
Libby, Spotify, anyway. Actually,
Elizabeth Ween, do something about this.
Yes, please listen to us. Do you think we should get her on the pod? I don't think she'd come on the pod.
She's busy. She's promoting her nonfiction book. She can't come on a fiction podcast right now.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Back when she publishes a new fiction. Anyways, so instead of my drive, I read Daring Ladies of Lowell. And if Lowell sounds familiar to you.
Of the Mills?
Of the Mills. It was actually, this book was set prior to the potato famine. So there was like the threats of like, we're going to bring in the Irish to replace you. But it was like before that it was like all Irish there.
Okay.
So this was like in the 1830s. It was good. It's the kind of book, like I read it and I listened to it, I immediately texted my mom and I'm like, Mom, you're going to love this book. It was like, I think I gave it like a 3.75. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was good to listen to. Like it went quick. But yeah, it was no Dear America.
Oh, yeah.
But then something interesting you said about romance books is the new audiobook that I am going to be finishing because I had to read it. I had to listen to it for my drive home.
Okay.
And I'm going to be finishing it on my flight to Montreal. And it is called, Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang is also ready for me to borrow. So I'm going to do that real fast. Hang on. Sorry about this.
Okay, while you do that, I have a story to tell about Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang.
Okay.
So I am very dedicated every year to completing the Storygraph Alphabet Challenge.
Okay.
And one of the letters I had left to complete was Y. If you remember from last week, I read YN, so I'm good now. But I was like, I'll put Yellow Face on hold in case I need it.
Okay.
However, I put it on hold. My hold time kept getting longer instead of shorter.
Oh.
So I don't know how that even happens because you either stay the same or you get shorter. Like you move up in the line or you're still waiting.
They're like, oh, we like this patron better than you. We're going to add.
Well, what I presented that information to my trivia team members. Diana of a future episode, not so far in the future either.
Next week.
Diana said, oh, it sounds like maybe some of their licenses lapsed.
Oh.
So you put the book on hold, maybe they had 10 copies, and now maybe they only have 8. Because it happened twice.
She's probably 100% right.
Yeah, it happened to me twice. And I was like, well, Yellowface came out very recently and is extremely popular. So they need to renew those.
I only got it so
licenses.
fast because I got the audiobook from my Orange County, Florida library.
I know. Well, I gave up on it. And in fact, I didn't actually need to do it because I have 3 libraries and it was available at one of the other ones. But I ended up reading YN anyway. I will read Yellowface at some point. But anyway, that's my story.
Well, the book I am currently listening to is a romance book that I am really enjoying. It is called Emergency Contact.
By who?
By Lauren Lane and her husband, Anthony Ledon.
Okay. I don't know them.
No, it's 7 hours. It's short. It's set at Christmas time. It's basically like they're divorced and she gets in a car accident and like had never updated her emergency contact, and then
that's so romantic.
She has a concussion, so can't be alone for the holidays, even though she wants to because her dad died. It's like a whole thing, and so he has to like bring her home to his family, where he's like actively going to be proposing to his new girlfriend. And I haven't hit that part yet, but I'm really enjoying it. And like each chapter goes back and forth between like his and her perspective.
I enjoy those.
It's fun. It's cutesy.
I love a Christmas book. I love a book set at Christmas.
It's very funny because it's like, she's like, I'm a lawyer who hates Christmas. All of these Christmas decorations are the worst thing that's happened in New York City. And the next chapter, he's like, I love Christmas. These decorations are beautiful.
No wonder they got a divorce.
And it's just been really enjoyable.
Aww.
But what are you reading? I was going to say, what are you listening to? But you're not an audiobook fiend.
No, not really. I just finished a book called The Guineveres. Okay. And it was interesting to me because I thought that it was going to be like, not a fantasy novel, but like set in another world, kind of the way that the Underground Railroad was set in another world. But in fact, reading it, I think it was like secretly a historical fiction book. And it was just like really quiet about that fact. It's called The Guineveres because it's about these 4 girls, all named Guinevere, who live in a convent as like older mid-teenagers who have been like dropped off by their families. And they want to get out. And so they seize on these 4 injured soldiers that come to the convent as their like means of getting out. But I think it was mainly just because the fact that it's set in a convent kind of gives it like not contemporary vibes. And also, whenever the war is mentioned, it's referred to as the war, capital W. But the longer I read, I was like, oh, this is World War II.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And it is not even ever directly referenced. Like, you don't know what country you're in. You don't know what country, like,
Well,
other countries are fighting the war.
Because this sounds interesting.
But it's just, like, they mention things like, I don't know, cabs and, like, typewriters and, like, the kind of clothes that they're wearing. You're just like, oh, this is mid-century America.
It is labeled as historical. So.
Yeah, but that is a secret. They do not tell you. And the author is Sarah Domay.
Okay.
And this is her only novel.
Oh.
And it came out in 2016. And then she has another book that's like how to write your novel. But, you know.
Okay, much like the author of Survival in the Storm, who never wrote again.
Yeah, who dropped her masterpiece and was like, I'm done. But
I need to look her up on LinkedIn like we did with the author of The Davenports. I wonder what she's up to nowadays.
Oh my gosh, she has an interesting name, so we could probably find her.
That could be that could be a podcast bonus episode.
Looking up people on LinkedIn.
Okay, this week though is Fever 1793 week, which I've been looking forward to mostly because I've not stopped thinking not of the book but of the cover.
The aggressively yellow cover.
It is just like they want you to know what fever it is.
Yeah. And when we said like the Davenports also has an aggressively yellow cover.
No.
But that is in like yellow in like a sunshine way.
This is sickness yellow.
This is jaundice. It's like, have you seen the picture of Joey from The Bachelor when he had jaundice?
I don't know who this man is. You keep talking about him.
He's on Dancing with the Stars and he's doing very well. I'm gonna show you a picture of Joey with jaundice.
Okay, well while you
Joey,
pull that up.
Bachelor.
While you pull that up, I'll read the synopsis.
Okay.
During the summer of 1793, Maddie Cook lives above the family coffee shop with her widowed mother and grandfather. Maddie spends her days avoiding chores and making plans to turn the family business into the finest Philadelphia has ever seen. Remember how I mentioned Philadelphia last week? This is why.
It's coming back.
But then the fever breaks out. Disease sweeps the streets, destroying everything in its path and turning Maddie's world upside down. At her feverish mother's insistence, Maddie flees the city with her grandfather, but she soon discovers that the sickness is everywhere, and Maddie must quickly learn how to survive in a city turned frantic with disease. Okay, have you found jaundice, Joey?
I can't find any pictures, and actually it turns out he has something called Gilbert syndrome.
Okay,
but you just have to trust me that it was funny.
Okay. We're not really going to talk about the author because you can go listen to our episode on chains for that.
And in fact, we hope you already have.
Yes, honestly, we hope you know everything about Laurie Halse Anderson already. Actually, if you are Laurie Halse Anderson and you want to come on the pod and talk about yourself,
you can.
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
just let you talk.
We'll clear up an episode space. However, I will say that this book was inspired after reading a newspaper article about the epidemic while her family was stuck in traffic driving into Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
I feel like she has got to be, because she found out about, she got the idea for chains after finding out about Benjamin Franklin, someone owning slaves. It was one of the founding fathers.
Yeah, I think it was Ben Franklin.
She's got to be a Wikipedia girl. Like, you know, she has that app on her phone. She's downloading articles for her flights. Like, she loves Wikipedia like Santiago does.
Oh, yeah. And we are all the better for it.
Yes. I would ask if you've read anything else by her, but we know the answer to that.
Yes.
I don't think there's a movie, Fever 1793 movie.
This would be a great, there is?
I think so. 2012, Fever 1793. There are no pictures on IMDb.
Well, I was just going to say, this would be a great, hour-long movie to show on the TV that you wheel into the classroom.
There is a movie. I'm sorry, I just gasped so loud. Where can we stream this? I can't tell. I don't know if it's a movie or a fan show, or people were making trailers for school, you know?
Oh my gosh.
TV series?
Are you sure?
IMDb, it seems like there was a 130-minute episode. I bet it was a school thing. Like the Dear America ones are made to be shown in school.
Yeah.
Oh, if this is true.
We need to, huge if true.
Huge if true. We will be adding that to the Dear America bonus episode because this book really does give Dear America vibes.
Okay, we'll do some research.
Yeah, this is the section I didn't research, but that's okay. Our usual disclaimer applies here. Our judgments come based on the book and characters within it rather than any real historical figures they may have been based on, and also spoilers. Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
You start.
Okay. This book really she was such a Dear America protagonist.
See, I feel like it was interesting because Laurie, this is going to sound so stupid. I feel like Laurie Halse Anderson gave her the perfect number of personality traits.
Okay.
Which is less than a real person has, but not none.
Okay.
Because, I mean, clearly the focus of this book is the things happening to her.
It's a plot-driven book, yeah.
Who she is. But you get, like, a few elements of her life before. Like, same as Lena last week. She has, like, a boy that she's flirting with. But then, of course, the disaster of her present takes over. Mm-hmm. She is at a really interesting place where I think a lot of the Dear America protagonists are. I don't know that I agree with you that I think the books are, like, super similar.
No, I just meant, like, the personality of Maddie as a main character.
Yeah.
I don't think plot-wise the books are.
No. But, like, she is at that place between, like, being a child and being an adult. Mm-hmm. So that conflict is really, you know, pushed and exacerbated by being stuck in a pandemic in 1793.
Yeah, it's very different reading this now after COVID than reading it when I was in 4th grade.
Well, it makes you realize even more how lucky we are to live in the future.
When we could play Animal Crossing?
Well, yeah. It's just like when people are like, I like was born in the wrong era. I should have been like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you do not want to go any further into the past than we already are.
Yeah, no.
Like, you couldn't leave your house. You couldn't go buy food. Like, you couldn't – nothing.
Anything. How was I supposed to Instacart my food? No, I remembered this book being really eerie as a kid when I was reading it, and I still feel like it's very eerie. Reading about people going from, like, oh, it's not real, like, blah, blah, and then just seeing the pandemic or like, epidemic take hold, and people are fleeing, which was definitely, like, it fully mirrors COVID because it's, like, the rich people fleeing the city were the people leaving New York and all of that. So it's very different reading, but also eerie because it's, like, human responses haven't changed.
Yeah, and the eeriness of it, I think, especially when you're a kid – she spends so much of the book alone.
Yeah.
Being like, what do I do if I don't have my parents or my grandparents or anyone around to, like, help me or tell me what to do? Like, she is completely the master of her own fate for, I would say, a good 60% of the book.
Yeah. And I will say, there were, like, a bunch of fake outs of the mom dying.
Yeah. Let's do a quick character rundown.
Okay, yeah. And then I guess that'll also encompass plot a little bit. So Maddie is the main character.
Matilda is her full name.
She's a spunky girl who just wants to own the coffee shop.
Yes, I love that their job is they have
She's the original bisexual barista.
The coffee house. And she is like businesswoman. She has ideas. She's like, we need to expand into the upstairs for people to have their meetings. We need to serve food instead of just pastries.
Oh my God, expanding to the upstairs just like Nike did before they failed.
Oh my gosh, exactly. Except Matilda would never flop like the Nike store did. She would thrive like the Barnes & Noble is going to.
Exactly. And then you have a grandfather, which is her dead father's father.
Yes.
So he lives with them. He is like a man about town.
And he fought in the Revolutionary War.
Yes, which was like a big deal.
And he has his sword from that.
Yes, because it was very recent. And then there's the mother who like kind of sucks.
I like the mom.
She has a hard life.
She took over the coffee house, which was her husband's after he died.
Yeah.
So she was just kind of like, this is my life and this is like how it's going to be and we're going to make it work.
Yeah, she's very stressed, as you can tell.
She has a lot going on.
And then who else is there?
Then they have their cook who works for them but is like a member of their family.
Yes.
And I noted this, and she's a black character. Mm-hmm. And that's really important, but for reasons we'll get into a little bit later in terms of some of the plot points historically. But I was like, interesting how this is kind of not too dissimilar from Johnny Tremaine in terms of like period of history and also in structure of its like POV character. And yet in this book, you get introduced to a black character like almost immediately.
Yeah. Who has like a full story.
Yeah. So, interesting.
It is interesting. And the cook's name was Eliza. It basically starts, like, people are starting to get sick. The first person that they find out gets sick is their maid.
Oh, my gosh. And that's really creepy, too, just because the way that it starts is the mom is like, ugh, like, I can't believe she's late again. Like, I'm going to go get her. And then she comes back all sullen. And the girls, and Maddie's like, where's the maid? And she's like, dead.
Insane.
No, it was a mic drop beginning to the book. And then they're like, oh, she must have just, gotten sick from something. But then it's like, no, they realize
the fever spreads. The mom gets sick.
And she tries to send the grandfather and her out into the country with these, like, family friends who have a farm.
Yes. But they couldn't make it because the country towns are quarantining or not even quarantining. They're not even letting anyone in who they think might be sick.
Yeah, so they get robbed and thrown onto the side of the road, basically.
Yeah, and they, like, survive there eating pears for, like, a little bit.
Yeah, but
Grandfather's... I didn't figure out if grandfather had the fever or if he was just an old man who was...
He was just old and sick, but unrelated to yellow fever.
She
However,
does.
Maddie has yellow fever from nursing her mother back to health, which she doesn't even know if she has done successfully.
Yes. So she is taken to this hospital that's run by the French doctors. And notably, the French doctors think you can heal by, you know, eating healthy and drinking fluids and getting fresh air. While the other doctor, the Philadelphia doctor, he just wants to bloodlet people.
Okay, and here's something. This is a bit annoying of me. This is one of my pet peeves. Mm-hmm. Whenever you read a book set in the past and there's a doctor who wants to do bloodletting, almost always the protagonist is like, you can't do that. Bloodletting is bad. How do they know?
How do they know that?
How do they know?
Yeah.
We only know that because we live in the future.
I know.
So that bothers me so much because he wanted to bleed her mother and she was like, no. And I'm like, well, I'm glad that you know not to do that.
Yeah, but how do you know?
However,
why do you know?
Yeah, so that drives me crazy. However, good for the French people.
Yes. So then Maddie gets better. And, like, once you've had it and gotten better, you can't get sick again.
And here's the craziest part of the book to me that's, like, not an important part. They want that girl to go to the orphanage so fucking bad.
They keep trying to send her ass to the orphanage.
They keep, like, trying to check her out of the hospital, and they're like, okay, great, go get in the cart, and we're going to drive you to the orphanage. And she's like...
Go get in the orphan cart.
And she's like, if you just let me walk home, my grandfather is there. And they're like, he probably doesn't even want to, like, bother with you. You should really just go to the orphanage. And she's like, I'm 14. Like, I am not going to the orphanage.
Yeah, she's really caught between, like, being an adult and being a child.
Yeah, and so it's...
Which is why it gave me Dear America vibes with her.
This is a really good age to set this character, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up last week, even though I wanted to, in terms of Between Shades of Grey. I feel like you read, like, this book when you're 12, and then you read Between Shades of Grey when you're 14. Like, this is an in-between book. This is, like, a really good
transition.
End of middle grade, beginning of YA.
And then, so she doesn't go to the orphanage, but she eventually finds Eliza, who's part of the Free African Society.
Yes.
The doctor who bloodlets, is part of the group who believes that Black people cannot get yellow fever.
Which is crazy.
Crazy. Him and other people are brought in, the Reverend from the Free African Society, and they're like, have your community, the Free African Society, have them help. So Eliza and her family and her friends are, like, bringing food to sick people, caring for them, all of that.
And it is clear to them at this point, like, they do know Black people can get yellow fever.
This late into the fever, yes.
But they are, like, they're helping because they're good people and they help their neighbors.
Yeah, and because some of them had already, like, some of her family had already been sick and she had already been exposed.
Yes, so again, you can't get it again.
Yeah.
And then here's something that you have a note on. They find, like, an orphaned baby.
Oh my God, like, she was probably, like, 2. Her name was Nell.
Yeah, which is a cute old-timey name.
Yes, that was my great-grandma's name.
Oh.
Well, it was Eleanor. But it was Nell.
Nickname.
But, yeah, so they find this orphan baby, and then she gets attached to Maddie, and then Maddie goes to bring her to the orphanage, and then the orphanage, like, turns her away.
They're like, we're full right now.
Too many orphans on the orphan cart.
Which is, to be fair, like, I understand why you're full.
Yes.
So, yeah, they just, like, Maddie's like, okay, I just have a baby now.
And that was one of the points that slowed this book down. This book definitely drags for a bit. Like, it gets a bit repetitive with, like, her kind of wandering around, the mother faking out being dead, who, spoiler alert, does not die at all.
She turns up.
She's fine. The grandfather dies unrelated to yellow fever.
Yeah, because they get robbed.
They do get robbed.
And the grandfather is defending them with his sword from the Revolutionary War. Yeah. But he gets, like, pushed over and, like, smashes the back of his head.
Yes.
And it's very sad.
It is very sad. But it does show the rampant, like...
Looting,
yeah. Because so many of the homes were abandoned. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Maddie just, like, has this baby. I don't think we needed that plot line at all.
No, but at least it was something. I don't know.
It was fine.
It shows them at the end how their family is newly formed, you know?
Yeah, and, like, still very close with Eliza's family and, like, you know, her brother's kids and all of that.
Yeah.
Who have a fever scare at one point, but they're fine. Whew. Which was good. I hate when kids die in books. I'm like, okay, at least the baby's survived.
No, I know. Please free them.
Exactly.
And the whole time they're basically just like, we have to make it to winter. We hit the first frost, we'll be fine. It's the heat that's perpetrating the disease.
Which was true, and I'll get into that in the history, but for the wrong reasons is what they thought.
Yeah, well, I was like, this can't be 100% correct. Like, from what I know from being in the future about disease, it was like, you can tell me about that later. But they make it there. Matilda and Eliza enter into a partnership for the coffee house so that they can do all their girl boss expansions that they want to. And then Eliza can be part of it too.
And she learns to appreciate getting up early like her mother so she can have quiet time alone before her chores.
That's how you really know you're a grown-up.
I know.
When you like to get up in the morning and have quiet time to yourself.
I'm like trying to make myself do that so I can read before work sometimes, but also just to catch up on work.
Me, except playing my New York Times games.
Okay, also. Well, that's so I can do my crossword puzzles on my lunch break. or in my morning coffee break, whatever.
Yeah.
But... yeah, so it was a very straightforward plot.
Yeah.
It was good for the ages, I think, of 8 to 12.
Here's something also really random that I enjoyed. Her boyfriend
she has a boyfriend too. We didn't talk about him at all.
Well, he is employed in the house of the famous painter Peele.
Yes, which I have for the history section.
Yes, and he just lives in their house. And is her boyfriend and is nice. So I just thought that was quirky and fun.
Yeah, I liked him. That was good. All these little girls have crushes in these books.
Listen, you got to give them something to work with.
Yes.
Okay, I have 2 last quick points to say. One, at one point when they're like, Philadelphia can't go down. It's the biggest city in America. 40,000 people live here. I was like, that is so funny. We have no comprehension of how much bigger our country is now than it used to be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was crazy that 40,000 is such a huge city.
And this is back when Philly was the capital of Philly really went from being the capital of the U.S. to not even being the capital of Pennsylvania.
And also, I feel like if there was a contest between Philly and Pittsburgh, I feel like Pittsburgh would probably win.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Harrisburg?
Well,
as the capital? That just...
We're still on that.
I have nothing against Harrisburg as a city. I have something against the fact that it is the capital of Pennsylvania.
We'll figure out why. We'll look it up on Wikipedia. Clearly Laurie Halse Anderson has probably done before.
That will be a bonus episode.
Yes. But unless you have something else specific you want to say about Fever 1793 in particular, I feel like we should compare it to Chains a little bit.
I think we should, and I think I'm going to jump off one of your notes and cut you off a little bit first before you compare to Chains.
Go ahead.
They both use quotes at the tops of the chapters.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Laurie loves a quote.
Yes. I think this is the best instance of that we've seen. And we've seen it multiple times in multiple different ways. Even with the feast days and Catherine Called Birdie.
And I have not read a single one. So I agree with you because I can't disagree.
Oh my. Okay, great. So it's my point then. I just feel like it was really well done. It was different quotes from the time. Not even all of them were related to yellow fever. A few of them at the beginning were just about Philly or, all of that. But they gave you such a sense of ominous creepiness.
That I think I remember adding to the eeriness.
Yeah, when one of them is the doctor who was a real person. Sorry to step on your historical accuracy toes.
It's okay.
But the doctor writing to someone else and being the city of Philadelphia is on its knees or whatever. They were great quotes. So I think Laurie Halse Anderson did a fabulous job picking them.
Yes. But now I think we can compare to Chains because Chains also had quotes, so that was my segue in.
Yes. I think this book, it asks a little bit less of the reader in terms of deep thinking. You very much can just follow along with the plot.
Yeah.
And other than a few different parts of obviously the riot, the looters are not good. Obviously the doctor that wants to do all the bloodletting is not good.
But even then, he's not really that bad of a guy. He's not bad of a guy for... Maybe he's just misguided. He is because of his misconceptions about the Black community. Well, yeah. However, for the bloodletting, that was all of them. That was not him.
But really, you're just going through the plot of this book and you are on the side of the heroine and there's not really an enemy because obviously the disease is bad and everyone knows it, but it's not maliciously out to get Philadelphia. It's just doing what disease does. Mm-hmm. So I think this is asking a little bit less critical thinking of its reader. So I think this is also you read Chains at the same time you're reading Between Shades of Grey.
Yeah, Chains is more, the characters are a lot more complicated.
And the ideas are more nuanced.
Yes, because you have that our stereotypical good versus stereotypical evil kind of inverting that. Mm-hmm. I was looking to see when Chains came out. Chains did come out 8 years after Fever.
Okay.
So I'm sure growth happened at that time. However, one thing I want to add, she has a ton of books in this series called Vet Volunteers, and they all have like puppy dogs and horses on the covers. And I'm really just sorry, I'm down a rabbit hole right there. Laurie Halse Anderson has a wide variety of books.
I was gonna say, I think she writes books for like elementary schoolers through grown-ups.
Yeah, she has a lot of different, which I think is good, and I think these two books are a good reflection of the nuanced age gap.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Chains is definitely the stronger one. But that doesn't mean I did not like this one.
No, they're providing they're both providing what they set out to provide.
Yes.
So. And
much like Chains, Laurie provided us with a wonderful historical section at the end, which I was able to pull a lot of information from. I actually organized my notes this time instead of just throwing facts at you in random order.
Yeah, this is so many bullets and sub-bullets.
Yes.
It looks great.
So I'm going to start off, my first bullet was just that Philadelphia was the capital of the U.S., but that's been established.
Okay.
So let's talk about the epidemic itself first. 11,000 people got sick. 5,000 people died, and 5,000 was 10% of the population of Philadelphia.
Okay, yeah. 5,000 people dying when your city is 40,000 people is crazy.
The disease got its name from the jaundiced eyes and skin of the victims, and symptoms included fever, headache, and black vomit caused by stomach bleeding. It was originally thought to be caused by rotting vegetable matter and spread from there, but it's actually spread by mosquitoes, so it is very notable that cases went down drastically when the heat passed because the mosquitoes died off. So while people could still give it to each other, there was no, organic spread from mosquito bites.
Okay.
So that's why cases went down drastically.
Okay, so it kept going for a little bit and then petered out.
Yeah, and then you think, if that many people got sick, and then so many people were exposed or had been sick and recovered or were exposed and never got sick, so they weren't going to get sick.
Natural vaccine.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So that is why it passed because of the heat, was because of mosquitoes.
Okay.
17,000 people fled to the countryside, including President Washington, which is notable in the book because it's a big grand to do when he returns.
That's when everyone realizes, great, it's over, is when George Washington comes back and he's, parading through the street.
Yes. And that was nearly half the population that fled to the countryside. So while many people who died were buried in cemeteries, there were so many victims that they were buried in just random places, especially today's Washington Square, if you're familiar with Philly, anonymously, which is how her grandfather was buried. He wasn't a victim of the fever, but there were just so many people dying. They're like, we just have to get these people buried.
There's a moment in the book when they're just ready to start throwing dirt in the hole, and she's like,
he's a war veteran.
You have to say a prayer.
Yeah.
There's not time to have a service or have anyone here,
and
but you have to at least say a prayer.
They just send priests out at night to say a prayer over everyone. Wealthy people were able to flee to the countryside or other towns, but the working class people couldn't afford to leave. They had to stay and work. Towns also turned them away for fear of infection. And port cities like Baltimore and Philly quarantined people and goods from Philly. So not just... So it's kind of in COVID when we were sanitizing our groceries.
Yeah.
That sort of thing too.
Yeah.
Real people and places.
All right.
Dr. Benjamin Rush, the bloodletter, was real, and he did advocate for bloodletting. He summoned Reverend Allen of the Free African Society to help because he thought people of African descent couldn't contract the disease, and he thought that helping people would help African Americans prove their equality, which...
Okay.
I don't like that.
Okay, so that's not good, but at least he did think that African Americans were nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to see the silver lining there. It could be worse. I don't know.
It's he was still racist, but probably less racist.
And it doesn't seem like he was a good doctor either.
No. Okay, I cannot blame him for the bloodletting, though, because, they were all doing it.
Well, not the French.
Okay, well, we're getting into the French.
Okay.
So... the Bush Hill estate of Alexander Hamilton was what was used as the hospital.
Okay.
And that was used by the French doctors who were much better at treating the disease because they didn't bloodlet. They, kept people healthy and they sanitized things and fresh air and all of that.
Radical.
So a lot of people treated there, like Maddie, did survive.
Okay.
There was also a part where she, wanted to go to France because she saw a hot air balloon launch by Blanchard. That was real.
That
happened.
Okay. Like on season 3 of Bridgerton?
Yes, except it didn't almost kill her she could have walked out of the way. I don't know. I don't get that scene at all. But the Free African Society did help treat fever victims by bringing in resources, burying the dead, and caring for orphan children like Nell. And then the Peel family, they were considered the first family of American art. Peel was one of the first portrait painters and also had a vastly huge collection of art.
Well, good for him.
So yeah, they didn't actually have her apprentice boyfriend, but he was a
Boo.
fictional character. But she also had a whole thing in the back that I didn't really read about, like the prominence of coffee houses, which famously this was after the Boston Tea Party, as we learned about in Johnny Tremaine. So coffee was, still
in vogue.
Coffee was in vogue. It became in vogue as a way to protest the British. And I mean, now it's like the drink of America. Yeah. You can go get a $7 dirty chai in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania if you want to.
I mean, I guess I just didn't even realize that they had coffee shops in 1793. So it just is delightful to me to learn that they did.
Yeah, so that's the history. There was nothing I found that wasn't true.
Great.
So,
I believe it. I love Laurie. So.
Are we ready to get into our
Star calculator?
Star calculator? I would like to keep my pause in the
I was going to
there.
say, please keep the pause. You have filled yours out, so go ahead.
Yes. So for this season, we're doing historical accuracy, theme, characters, story, and vibes. I'm giving it a 5 for historical accuracy. I thought this was very, very strong. Theme, I gave a 3. I don't know. There wasn't like a theme that really stuck out to me. I feel like some of them have been like community and things like that. This one, I don't know. Characters, I gave a 3. It's like you said, Maddie was a little flat. Like, she reminded me of a Dear America girl, but less strong.
I felt like she was given traits, but left a teeny bit blank, maybe on purpose.
Self-insert.
Yeah.
Almost.
And also just so that her actions could take more precedence over her, like, internal blah, blah, blah.
The story, I gave a 3 because I did enjoy it. I did feel dragged at points, and we didn't really need all of it. Maybe Nell was just added in to, add a couple pages. Mm-hmm. Could have been. And vibes, I gave a 4. It didn't hold up to as creepy as I remember it being, but I'm also not a child when I'm reading it anymore. So like,
your standards for that are higher.
The creep factor is different. But I do really like this one. It was a 3.6, which is a solid fine. To me, this is one where it makes sense to keep it in schools, especially 4th grade was big, like for me at least, was big, like American history. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. For me, I gave it a 5 for historical accuracy. I really appreciate all the work being done here.
And I appreciate explaining, and we've seen that in a lot of these books, but laying it out as a historical note when your target audience is like elementary, middle school,
important.
Great.
Theme 4, characters 4. I definitely like them more than you, but I agree. Story.
It's because you liked Mother and I didn't.
Well, maybe. And vibes 4. So for me, that is a total of 4. And on Storygraph, that is what I gave it. Also a 4.
I gave it a 4 on Storygraph. I don't know. It's one of those things where you talk it through and you go on different categories.
Well, and also just like we're grown-ups,
So for me, this is fine. I'm guessing for you, it's fine leaning 5.
Yeah, I would give it a little more than just a fine.
Okay, well, I think that is good. I would definitely recommend this one. I really enjoyed it as a child. Actually, I meant to mention this earlier. This was Santiago's first pod read. This was the first book he's read. I had it on the table, and he was like, oh, I've read that book in school. He's like, it's about the yellow fever epidemic in Philadelphia. I'm like, what?
And he does not pay attention to what we do on the pod. Like, he listens, but he's not read.
No, he doesn't read along with the pod. And he was, like, pulling out plot points. I'm like, and I was rereading it, so I knew what he was talking about. And I'm like, I didn't remember any of this going in. I'm like, you have a much better memory than me. And it was actually, this was the first thing that inspired him to do a Wikipedia deep dive. So it all comes full circle. Oh. Thank you, Laurie.
Wow. What a beautiful, touching story.
Next week, I'm really excited to welcome a beautiful guest onto the podcast.
Yes, it is going to be a juggernaut episode with our friend Diana. How many books are we reading for next week?
8 books.
Yes, because...
However, they are Magic Treehouse.
We are reading the Magic Treehouse.
How Magic Treehouse is set up, and I didn't know this prior to researching for the pod, and we'll go over this again next week in more detail. It's set up, each 4 books has their own mini plot arc.
Yes.
So we wanted to read 2 sets of 4 for that purpose.
Yes. Kind of like how we read One American Girl all the way through.
Yes.
So we are reading 8 Magic Treehouse books, and it's 2 separate arcs.
2 mini arcs. We're not going to go through and list out all the titles, but we will be doing that next week.
Yes.
And their titles are always fun and cutesy. So that is by Mary Pope Osborne. I kind of just assume everyone is familiar, but...
Very famous.
She's a giant in the children's literature world.
Oh, yeah. She is going to very quickly rocket up to number 1 on my Storygraph multiple read authors list.
I will say I read all 8 of these in one day, and she is now my top author.
I have some to go still, but I am very excited to discuss them next time.
But until then, if you're missing our lovely content, feel free to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at 5orflop_pod. And make sure you're subscribed to our Storygraph reading challenge for season 3 so you can also ensure that Mary Pope Osborne is your #1 most read author.
If you have other books that you think we should be reading, maybe some of the Magic Tree Houses we're not covering next week, you can fill out the recommendation form in the bio of any of our social medias, or you can just email us at 5orfloppodcast@gmail.com.
But until next time, happy reading!
Bye!